All right, we've been talking about this cycle of loving your neighbors. It's the second greatest commandment, to love your neighbors as yourself, to move people, to teach people who God is, to love God with our heart, mind, soul, and strength, and then to move each other to serving others. This is, in my opinion, the heart of our existence. Paul says that we're not saved by good works, but we were created for good works. That God created us to do good works, to treat people with kindness and fairness and gentleness. And then, pouring into our theme, becoming the hands and the feet of Jesus, Jesus was talking about what separates the sheep from the goats, heaven from hell. At Judgment Day, Christ will make judgments and He's going to separate people based on whether we served each other, based on whether we served our fellow man, based on whether we took time out of our schedule to serve other people out of love. Our theme verses are Matthew 25, 37 through 40, and it says, "Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you a drink? And when did we see you a stranger and welcome you, or naked and clothe you? And when did we see you sick or in prison and visit you?" And the king will answer them, "Truly I say to you, as you did it to one of the least of these, my brothers, you did it to me." And that ought to motivate us, if nothing else, to do good, to be good. There's so much noise in this world right now, and so much negativity. And it always bothers me when I hear people talk about the younger generations, that, this nation, the way it's going. And yeah, younger people, younger workers, you see it in the workforce, they have their problems, but there's a lot of good too. And I see so much goodness and kindness in this world. And I see young people doing things that I could have only dreamed of doing when I was younger. That they're motivated, that they're loving and they're compassionate, and they're motivated to do good. So today's sermon is about doing good, extending blessings to other people, and God blessing that in return. Did you guys hear about, I just switch over to this article. Did you hear about the 11-year-old kid that found the one-of-one Paul Skeens rookie patch card? The kid got the card, and I don't remember if it was yesterday or Friday. I think it was Friday. We had a family conversation about this because the kid's 11 years old. He's Cameron's age, and he was offered a 30 years of passes behind home plate. I know, yeah, for DP that's a no-brainer. He was offered what else? Time with Paul Skeens to hang out with him and get to know him. He was offered a 30-person softball game on PNC Park, like exclusive, with alumni out there playing with them. Olivia Dunn said that she would personally sit with him and his family. So, he got all of this stuff, and we had this family conversation. We were like, what would you do? Because you could sell it, immediately. Like right now, they said it's worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. And so the options that we were talking about is, do you hold it for several years, and that number guaranteed will shoot up into the millions? Or do you sell it now, take the money, and change your family's life forever? I don't know about you, but an extra $700,000-800,000 in the bank account would probably be helpful. Be a little nice, wouldn't it? Or do you take the pirates up on the offer and just have a life experience and say, you know what, I'm going to do what everybody else does, and I'm going to build my own wealth. I'm 11 years old. My whole future's ahead of me. I can build my own wealth in my own lifetime. What do you do? And I think Cameron would have opted for the experience, right? Because we're close to Pittsburgh, so for us it's kind of a no-brainer. Or do you bargain with them and say, yeah, I'll take the offer, but I'm only going to give you the card if you give me a little bit of cash too. You can negotiate. So there are all kinds of options. How many of you heard what this boy did? How many know the outcome? So, a handful of you. What would you guys do? What's that? He bought the pirates. No, but DP probably would have. So I thought this was cool. Before I tell you the outcome of what he actually did, I want to talk about how important this was to him. And I don't know what the financial situation is with this family, but I kind of gather that they're not like super well off. This was his dream, was to get the tops, this series of cards. So I'm going to read a little bit from this article. It says, the 11-year-old who pulled the card shared his journal entries with Topps on Friday. Now keep in mind, this kid is serious about these cards. He's writing in his journal. 11-year-old writing in his journal, and he's been obsessing about getting these cards. He shared his journal entries with Topps on Friday, where he wrote about how he begged his parents for a box of 2024 Topps Chrome update cards. I mean, if the kid's begging his parents for some cards for Christmas, I'm guessing they're probably, I could be wrong, but I'm assuming they're not like a super wealthy family. Because I think wealthy kids would, at 11, I'd be like, give me that Ferrari. I'll just hold on to it until I'm 16. I'm good. But he's writing about this in his journal. He finally got one as a Christmas present and opened the pack containing the Skeens card with his family on Christmas morning. He sold the card to auction. Yeah. Now, before you think greedy little kid, he donated every penny of that to the fire rescue missions in California. That's an 11-year-old. He made that decision. So when we talk about how, all these people, young kids, that like I hear people badmouth them all over the place, and they're just talking down to little kids and talking like they're the dumbest little things in the world, and they can't make decisions on their own, and it's like we got to pat them on the head and babysit them. Kids are very intelligent, kids are smart, and we need to encourage them. This kid chose at 11 years old to take an almost $1 million card, which literally will be worth millions of dollars. If he would have held on to that for even 10 years, at the age of 21, this kid would have been set for the rest of his life. He sold the card immediately. Something that he's been begging his parents for. It's like hitting the lottery twice in the same day. He gets this card and he sells it, and he gives every penny of that to the fire rescue mission in California. That's incredible. How much did he sell? I don't know. I heard that MLB was saying that it was somewhere right around $1 million. It's pretty cool, isn't it? And we can look at this and we can be like, all right, so he chose to bless people, but that's great. Now his family's, if they don't have a lot of money, they're going to struggle the rest of their lives, and people are going to forget about this kid. Well, I'm not so sure. Bob Nutting himself reached out to the kid, and he was like, that was a really cool thing to do. He's like, I still want to bring you to PNC Park, and I want you to meet Paul Skeens, and I want you to hang out with us and the team. And he said, whether it's in Pittsburgh or sometime when we go out to California, he's like, we want you to meet Paul Skeens and get to know the players. And we're going to make that happen. But I don't think it's going to stop there. Because I think a lot of us don't really believe that God blesses us when we give. And here's why I say that. And I'm not just talking about money. I'm talking about our time, generosity, being generous with our time, helping other people. Because we grumble. We're like, oh, come on. And we complain about it sometimes. And I think if we really believed with all of our heart what the scriptures tell us over and over and over, that God blesses generous people. And I don't know what that looks, I honestly don't. I don't know what that looks like. I don't have a magic 8 ball. I'm not prophetic. I don't know what that looks like. But I trust God that when God says, I'm going to return blessings, I believe God. Here's what Proverbs says. I'm going to open up my Bible because I'm going to read a little bit beyond verse 25. But here's what he says in Proverbs. The desire of the righteous ends only in good. Right? In other words, if you're righteous, if you're a good person, if you have a good heart, a righteous heart, that only ends in good. You can't be a righteous person and be wreaking havoc all over the planet and destroying people's lives, and it can't happen. If your heart is truly righteous, that ends only in good. The expectation of the wicked in wrath. One gives freely, yet grows all the richer. Another withholds what he should give and only suffers want. In other words, you give freely, you grow richer. You bless people, other people notice that. Do you know how many people notice this 11-year-old kid right now? You know how many people are looking at the generosity of this kid and are probably going to offer him all kinds of different offers and donations and you name it. Like this kid, watch for this. Watch what happens with this kid if the media actually tracks it over the next few weeks. Watch what happens to him. Or months or years. I'd love to see a follow-up in 5 years and see what happens in his life. But if you withhold what you should give, you only suffer want. You want more. Enough is never enough. You're constantly looking for the next best thing, the next thing that's going to bring satisfaction to you. You're spending your money on all kinds of things that just doesn't matter. It doesn't bless other people. Enough is never enough. Verse 25, whoever brings blessing will be enriched, and the one who waters will himself be watered. I don't think these scriptures are only talking about monetary blessings. I just don't. I think if we're generous with our time, God's going to bless us with people who come into our life who are generous with their time. Because sometimes we need that, don't we? Sometimes life can be pretty lonely. Sometimes we look around and we wonder, do people actually care? You feel that weight of loneliness and you wonder if people actually care or know that you exist. But are you being generous with your time? Simon Sinek, who I've quoted him before, he does awesome stuff. He goes around and speaks to like big fortune companies all over the world. A highly motivational speaker. He's fantastic. But he said, if you stop and think about your friends, he's like, a true friend will drop everything for you. And he's like, there's this magic number where, like, if somebody spends 8 minutes with you, 8 minutes can change your life. He's like, there have been all kinds of scientific studies that shows that if somebody just sits and listens with you for 8 minutes, it can change the entire course of your life. It'll change your day. It'll make you feel better. It'll make you feel valued. It'll make you feel like somebody cares, like somebody took the time to listen. 8 minutes. He's like, a friend doesn't say to another person, yeah, they'll understand. How many times have we done that to people? I've done it. Oh, they'll understand. They really want me to be there right now, but they'll understand. I'm busy. I have my own things. I have my own stuff going on. He's like, give them 8 minutes. It's the 8-minute rule. Give somebody 8 minutes of your time. He's like, that's true friendship. And very few people have true friends that will give you 8 minutes of their time and drop everything for that 8 minutes for you. Whoever brings blessing will be enriched, and the one who waters will himself be watered. If we bless other people, God blesses us in return. I'm going to read on, starting in verse 26. The people curse him who holds back grain, but a blessing is on the head of him who sells it. Whoever diligently seeks good seeks favor, but evil comes to him who searches for it. Whoever trusts in his riches will fall, but the righteous will flourish like a green leaf. Whoever troubles his own household will inherit the wind. I love that expression. You want to bring trouble on your own household? You want to wreak havoc in your own home? You want to bring all kinds of discord and disunity? You want to disrupt your own home? You're going to inherit wind. Well, what does that mean? What's that expression mean? Wind is something that just blows around. You can't grab it. You can't grasp it. And it's really annoying, isn't it? We came home from Michigan, and I don't know what you guys did or what happened while we were gone, but like the whole siding on the one side of our house is blown off, and it's like flapping in the wind, and I'm like, and it's all cracked and split apart. We have to replace that whole side of the house. The wind is destructive, it's annoying, and you can't see it. You can see the destruction, but you can't see it. And it's not like you can push against it and stop it. It's when the wind comes, that's what you inherit if you disrupt your home. You trouble your own household, you inherit wind. And the fool will be servant to the wise heart. The fruit of the righteous is a tree of life, and whoever captures souls is wise. If the righteous is repaid on earth, how much more the wicked and the sinner? I love this whole section because it puts things into perspective. And all of us have struggles in our life. All of us have our own stuff going on, but we still have to bless people. We can't stop blessing people because we're going through it. You know, we're going through something hard in our life, and so now's my time to just stop and heal and find myself. And like we hear all these expressions. I'm just going to go find myself. You know how we find ourselves? We reach into our heart and we do acts of kindness out of compassion. We sit with people who are hurting. We listen to people who need to be heard. We bless people and receive blessing. I really, truly, genuinely believe that this 11-year-old boy's life will be absolutely blessed. I really do. I hope so. I believe it. I hope so. I looked at what he did and I was like, man, at 11 years old, not a chance in the world I would have taken all that money and had the wherewithal to be like, I'm going to sell this $1 million card and I'm going to give it all away to the fire crews that are fighting these battles. Not a chance in the world. But that was his choice. And when we live life that way and we bless people with our presence, with our home, inviting people into our home with meals, inviting people to the table, you know, move beyond the 8 minutes. What if we sat down for 45 minutes and invited somebody to sit down at the table with us, or took somebody out to a restaurant and just sat and was a friend to them? God will bless that. We want to be the hands and the feet of Jesus. We want to be giving of ourselves. And look at what happened after Jesus blessed all these people. It changed the world, didn't it? I mean, forever. Literally forever. God blessed it. God blessed the ministry of the disciples. I think of Peter and John walking up the steps of the temple, and this lame beggar is begging for money. Peter said, "Look at us." I love that expression. First thing out of his mouth, Peter says, "Look at us." And the man looks up. "Gold and silver I do not have." I don't think Peter was like, "Oh, sorry, I only have plastic on me right now," like us. I think he really didn't have money. Peter left everything to follow Jesus. He didn't have money. He didn't have it. Gold and silver I do not have, but what I do have, I give to you. In the name of Jesus, get up and walk. Take what you have and give it to people. Bless people. And you want to know, by the way, you want to know how Peter was blessed after that? God wasn't like, man, I'm going to rain riches on you. You're never going to have to work again a day in your life. It's not what happened to Peter, was it? Want to know what happened to Peter that day? The man went into the temple rejoicing and praising God and dancing around because of what the Lord had done for him. And about 4,000 souls were added to the Lord that day. That was Peter's reward. To know that the mission that God put him on to preach the good news to the world was actually making a difference. That people were actually coming to Christ. That people were believing, their hearts were being softened and they were coming to Christ. That was how Peter was rewarded. Sometimes we think of rewards in monetary ways. God, why am I still struggling? Because sometimes people struggle. These scriptures don't mean that God's just going to open up your bank account and shove a bunch of money into it. It's not what it means. But God will bless us in immeasurable ways. Continue to do good to people. Go out this week. Find somebody whose life needs to be blessed and bless them. Give them 8 minutes. That's all I ask. If there's anybody this morning who has not yet taken the step to put Christ on in baptism and you're ready, or if you have prayer needs, we'd encourage you to come up. We're all going to stand and sing this song together. Let's be instruments of peace for God's kingdom.